What's happening, Jets fans? What a good day it is to be a Jets fan. I have to say, this is about as good as it gets so far. So far. Hopefully it gets significantly better, because as good as it is, if this is it, we're in trouble. What's happening, everybody? This is Green Bean. Welcome to episode 75 of Greenbean's Jets Pod. Episode 75, episode Chuma Edoga. What do you think of that? Chuma Edoga, fourth-year reserve offensive tackle out of USC, a third-round pick of the Mike Maccagnan era. 92nd overall. I'm just kidding. It's episode AVT. Alijah Vera-Tucker. That's what we're doing. Alijah Vera-Tucker, as we probably know, is number 75. Chuma Edoga wore 75 up until Alijah Vera-Tucker came to town and said, "Excuse me, give me number 75." That's how it happened, I heard. He said, "Give me that." And Chuma Edoga said, "Don't hurt me." I don't know if it went like that exactly. That's what I heard. Chuma Edoga is still here. Can you believe it? He's one of 3-4 players tops from the entire 5-year Mike Maccagnan era. 2 coaches, 4 offensive coordinators, 3 special teams coaches. It's incredible how much change we went through all during that period. And then we came out the other end and it all needed to be flushed. All of it. C.J. Mosley is still here from the Mike Maccagnan era as a free agent. We have Chuma. All right, we have Chuma Edoga. We had Fadu Kasi. He's not here. So we have Trayvon Wesco. He's still here. Quinnen Williams. Blake Cashman's gone. That's the last draft. Cashman, Blesson Austin, they're gone. They're all gone. Robbie Anderson. I mean, they're all gone, man. Chuma, who'd have thunk it? So anyway, it is episode AVT. I'd like to welcome you here. This is fun. This is one of my favoriteest things to do. My most favoriteest, okay, for you. It's a good hang, and I'm usually in a good mood because everybody leaves me alone. They go, "Oh, he's got a recorded thing," so they all bail, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like all alone in here, so I get to be in a good mood. But I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank all of you people who've been here the whole time. This is a tough period of time in our fandom. This is the worst part of the year, and even though OTAs go on a little bit, and then we get a mini camp, and then we get an even deeper lull. It's just there's drips and drabs and people trying to make stuff out of nothing. You know what I mean? Everything's a big story because they don't have any big stories. And guess what? They're required to make some stories. So here we go, you know. But and I'm glad to all the new people. If this is your first time here, we'd like to say something right away. It's like a welcome, okay? You ready? It's a welcome to Green Bean Show. And that is, if you could please hit that thumbs up button. It really does help the channel if you're liking it. If you don't, hey, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. But if you enjoy it, if you think that was all right, go ahead and click that thumbs up button. It helps out the channel more than you'd think, really, quite frankly. And I would really be appreciative if you could hit that subscribe button. This is the time to do it. Say, yeah, I'm in. I want to subscribe to this guy. I want to see more. I want to get recommended more of his stuff. Now, if you want to make sure that you get everything, as soon as I go live, they send you an alert, the whole thing. You can click that little dangling bell thing. That's on there too. Click that and that will happen. And it is greatly appreciated. For all of you people out there in the audio realm, man, thank you. Again, even through the dark times right now, it's still trending upward. And I really appreciate that. I think that's super cool. And I'm happy to have you guys. I listen to tons of podcasts in the car as well, so I get it. And if you guys wouldn't mind, whatever platform you're looking at it on, or listening to it, I should say, Spotify, Apple, whatever, there's a rating system. You can like it there, even write a review, whatever, all that kind of stuff. And it's all so appreciated. Now, if you want additional private exclusive content, early releases, videos only for you guys. We also do monthly hangs. It's actually bi-monthly, but every month we do a classic game get together. We're doing the 2010 Jets Patriots game this month. Last month, what did we do last month? Oh, it was great. It was the 2009 Chargers game, I think it was. Oh, it was fun, man. When we beat the Chargers, we weren't supposed to beat them.
What a stick by his own guy. By his own guy.
That was good. That was a good one. So if you want to do that, you can join the Beanbaggers. That's our little group. And the link is right in the bottom of the description. And that is greatly appreciated. What an amazing group of people I've been able to attract so far because, man, are they awesome. They're their own group now, man. I only pop in. You know, I'm there about, I don't know, half the time. They're doing their own thing in there, and they're just so great. And I'm so appreciative and so grateful and all that stuff. And if you'd like to do that, the Beanbaggers, click the link is right in the description of this video. And so, yeah, man, here we are with episode AVT. Now, let's take a look at this guy really quick. We'll do our little weekly player profile. All right, and AVT is now number 75, and that's why we're talking about him. He also came from USC. Interestingly enough, right? It was Chuma Edoga. He was a USC guy. And now we have AVT, who's a USC guy. He's 22 years old. So when we talk about the youth on this team, guys, we talk about guys like Becton. You would think Becton's been here for 10 years, how much we've talked about him and argued about him. He's 22 years old. Even guys who are vets, Quinnen Williams, 24. You know, Denzel Mims, 24. Like, so all these guys are so young. Even the vets we brought in, you know, Jordan Whitehead, DJ Reed, 25 years old. So we have a predominantly young team, and AVT falls right in line with that. He was our first-round pick last year. We picked Zach Wilson, and AVT. We traded up from 23 to 14, giving up our two third-round picks. So we used the first-round pick we got in the Jamal Adams trade and the third-round pick we got in the Jamal Adams trade to jump up and grab AVT. And so far, he's got a 67.2 overall pass blocking grade from PFF. Pretty solid. Not great, but solid. He gave up 2 sacks, and he had, 1,027 snaps. So he gave up 2 sacks in that time, 5 penalties, and 34 pressures. AVT was, he's a rookie, but we saw it. We saw how great he can be. But in run blocking, he's a tick or two better, 72.1 run blocking grade, and he's going to be switching to right guard now because of the signing of Laken Tomlinson from the San Francisco 49ers. And AVT said, I'm always going to be violent in the running game. I just have to work on my pass blocking and getting all that down at an NFL level. He's got all the work ethic, and honestly, I believe that he is a mainstay. He's going to be a long-term solution on the offensive line, and we're going to be talking about this guy for many years. That's my honest thought. I love him. I loved the pick. I think he's great. And he just said that Jets fans, he believes that Jets fans are the best in the nation. He said, I really do believe that. So, hey, not that he has too much experience with other fans in the NFL, right? But he loves us, so we love you. And there it is, AVT. Thanks for playing. And there he is. So we like to get this show started. Little segments, right? We like to carve it up a little bit for you. And we're going to go ahead and get it started with the news of the week. So the big story, everybody, it's big time news. Because we needed to know is that Mekhi Becton will in fact report to mandatory minicamp. It's amazing, isn't it? This is big. This is big stuff. Because even though we knew for some months that Mekhi Becton was expected to begin at training camp, the not showing up at OTAs, we've had a whole bunch of stories of the reasons why and all the stuff. And so now it's mandatory minicamp because he didn't show up at OTAs, which Saleh told us about at the owners' meetings. The fact that he wasn't here led a lot of people to wonder if something deeper wasn't going on, right? So maybe he wouldn't show up for mandatory minicamp and there'd be a deeper problem and a bigger issue and all that. Well, it's off the table, supposedly. It didn't happen yet, so we got to see. Starts January, and by January I mean June 14th. Today, the recording of this is June 11th. By the time you see it, it'll be June 13th, so any second now. All right, we'll be there. And so Becton's going to be at mandatory minicamp. I doubt we'll see too much physical activity from him. Maybe a little bit, maybe some assignments, some run-throughs and stuff. I don't know. My thoughts are it'll just be good for him to get back into the building, kind of intermingle with some of the new guys, some of the older guys, right? Maybe hanging out with some Lake and Tomlinson action, because if he's going to be on the left side, which we don't know yet, a lot of people are just making the assumption that he's over there on the right side. That might be what happens. I don't know. I think that if he comes in and plays like he did as a rookie, I think it's a silly move to move him to the right-hand side. But that all said, it remains to be seen. There's definitely a possibility that Lake and Tomlinson will be his new line mate. So we want to give them an opportunity to get some quality time. No more friggin' nicknames, Mekhi Becton, okay? It's so funny. Everybody has all these issues with Becton. I have one issue with Becton. You don't make nicknames about yourself before you've done anything. Dude, I said it the day that it happened. I made a video. I freaked out. It's a bad omen, I said. Fucking 48 hours later, it was over. You know what I mean? The rest of the training camp, we didn't see them play together. Then they got 1 quarter or 3/4 of a game. No nicknames, man. You don't label something as good before it's actually good. Okay? I'm spooked by that shit. I've been hanging around the Jets a long time. I know what it's like. You don't say anything or anybody anything is good until it's good. Then you can call it some stuff, right? You don't call a defense the sack exchange part 2 just because on paper. Can't do it. So he'll be there, and that's good news. Now, another thing that took place this week is that we saw some varying degrees of prediction for the New York Jets. ESPN put their analytics hat on, and all their little, computer guys, all their numerical geniuses got together, and they have decided that the New York Jets will have the number 1 overall draft pick next year in 2023. That's what they've concluded when they looked through the analytics and all the information. They decided the Jets are going to have the number 1 overall pick. That's what they think. So they have excluded the Bears, the Texans, the Jags, the Seahawks, all these teams in like spiral mode. It's okay. It's still going to be the Jets. On the other side of that, guys, DraftKings has said that more bets have been placed and more money wagered on the Jets to win over 5.5 games on DraftKings than any other team's win total. Doesn't matter what it is, whatever. The people betting on the Jets to win more than 5.5 games has outdone every other team at any level, even if it's just the teams you expect to win and all that kind of stuff. Doesn't matter. Now, let's be transparent and clear. The Jets got some sweet odds on those things. So you could bet 100. I don't remember the odds specifically, but you can bet 100 and win $1,000, like that kind of stuff. So that helps too. But if a lot of people thought it was impossible, I said, dude, they're going to have the number 1 overall pick. They suck. Then you're not even going to waste 100 because you're still losing $100. You know what I mean? So a lot of people think otherwise. Now, another interesting thing is that the Jets have attracted more bets to win the AFC East than even Buffalo. More people have bet on the Jets winning the AFC East than have the Buffalo Bills. Now, again, it's as odds. This is odds inspired. But again, you're not even going to throw your money away if you don't think it's even possible. Now, the other interesting wrinkle there is that more people have bet on the Jets to win the division than the Dolphins and the Patriots combined. What is this? So, look, as you guys know, I don't gamble. Okay, I don't play fantasy football. I certainly don't look at them delicious-looking scratch-off tickets. I can't even look at them. Okay, so I don't do that stuff. But it's interesting to pay attention to this stuff, man, on this end, because money talks. All right, money talks. People don't put money down if they don't think they can reproduce it. or duplicate it or multiply it or whatever. They don't put money down unless they think they can get it back or even make money on it. That's the truth of the matter, right? Now you have people up at top like, shit, it's worth $1,000, whatever. What do I care? What do I care? $1,000 here, $1,000 over there. You got those people. But most of us, if I don't think I'm going to even have a shot, I'm not putting my money out there. Now, Caesars Sportsbook also reported some numbers that the Jets have received more bets to make the playoffs than any other team in the NFL. Now, guys, why am I talking about this? Does one thing or the other, either side, predict anything with any finality? No, it doesn't. I'm just pointing out differences between these two thought process. You got the analytics people over here saying, the Jets are going to have the number 1 overall pick. The Jags, the Bears, the Seahawks, the Texans, the Lions, they're all going to be better. The Giants, they're all going to outdo the Jets this year. And you got people over there, again, money talk, saying, no, this is a good bet. This is smart. This is a smart bet. Now, the odds help it. If it was straight up odds, I think these numbers might be different. I do. But at the same time, what it tells us is this. Calm down, everybody. It's not such a big deal. It doesn't matter. Okay? People can say whatever they want to say right now. I'm going to make a guarantee right now with all of my analytic background support. I'm going to throw all my weight in the ring right now and tell you I'm guaranteeing with 100% accuracy that the New York Jets will not have the number 1 overall pick next year. I don't give a shit what happens. Zach goes down. Joe Douglas grows 3 heads. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. We're not picking first in the NFL draft. It's not happening, okay? Take that to the bank. We'll talk about it next year, okay? And I fucking better not be wrong with that shit, man. I better not. So, but that's the whole thing, guys. Right now, it's just there's a lot of motivations, right? And some of them is just simple, like, hey, we need to produce content. I need to get stories out there. So there's that stuff. Then there's others like, hey, let's poke the beast. The Jets fans are the most vibrant, active fan base online, even during the lull. All right, so there are lots of fan bases like Jacksonville fans. There's probably 20 of them that even care right now. They're not us. Like, with all due respect to those people, it's fine. But I'm just saying, Jets fans, we're still out here consuming daily New York Jets content by the barrel. It's not the case in many other places around the NFL. So they poke us. They go, hey, your guys are going to be the worst team in the NFL next year. Ah! So they do that. And then on the other side, there's, hey, Vegas wants to make money. So if they can figure out a way to get us to make a stupid bet, they're going to do it, right? They're going to do it. So, but a lot of people think one way. Some people think something on the other side. And my advice to us is, who cares, right? All right. Calm down. All right. That's what I have to say about that. Now, something else interesting that happened this past week was Jeff Ulbrich, our defensive coordinator, gave a press conference where he seemed so sure of himself, right? He said, and he said, our defensive line will rotate so that they play 30 to 35 plays maximum per game. That's it. They said, really? Is that like a hard line rule? He said, hard and fast. That's what we're doing. Now, he gave numerous reasons. Elongating the playing career of the players, health during the season, stamina, impact, all that sort of stuff. Now, I get it. It makes sense. But a lot of us went, like, 35 plays? Really? So Carl Lawson is going to play 35 plays? Quinnen Williams? Jermaine Johnson? Like, I don't know. It just seems like not a lot, right? So Robert Saleh came out a few days after that, and they asked him the same thing. They said, hey, look, your defensive coordinator told us that 30 to 35 plays, and what do you think about that? Is that really the case? And he said, well, it's not necessarily 30 to 35 plays. It's really, we're shooting for 70%. And he went through a bunch of numbers, right? He said the average snaps a game on defense is 60 to 65 plays. And if you do this, you get to 70%. We're looking at about 40 to 45 plays. So it all depends. And then he said something else pretty interesting. He said, Jeff is just really confident that his defense is going to get off the field on 3 plays. So they're never going to give up. From Jeff Ulbricht's head, he's like, we're never going to give up a single first down. So, of course, they're only going to play 30 plays. So when you look at it through that lens, right? When you look at it through the lens of well, how can they play more than that? We only had 40 plays total in the game on defense. So if that happens, Mr. Ulbricht, we're with you, buddy. We're with you 100%. If that's what really happens, if our defense is so good that they only play, let's just say, 50 snaps a game on defense, that's it. Now, and not because they get on first down and they throw bombs and score on us all day. Sauce Gardner gives up 44 touchdowns year one. Like, all right? So not that way, but if the other way, that the defense is just so efficient and so able to get off of the field on third down, and we only play 50 snaps a game, we'll take 30 to 35 plays all day, every day, because now we know that they are having maximum impact with the plays that they are playing. They come in, they destroy the offense for 3 plays, and they go sit down. Okay. But it's an interesting way to look at it, right? Now, we don't think like that. So we're hearing this stuff, and we know what we're used to. Our defense couldn't get off the field to save their life last year. They couldn't do it. And even when they stopped teams on third down, remember how disrespectful the NFL was to this defense last year? How many fourth downs did they just go for it? Said this defense cannot stop us. Okay, they stopped us on third. There's no way. They don't have it in them to stop us 2 plays in a row. It's just not real. And a lot of the time, they were right. So our defense is holding them on third down, but because of their track record up to that point, they just kept going anyway. So they hold them on third. It's now 4th and 3, and they go for it anyway, and they get it. And then we do the same thing. They hold them on third, 25 yards down the field, and they do the same thing. So you see that. Our defense was slapped around last year. It wasn't without its plays. It wasn't without its contributors. There was a lot of positive, a lot of young guys learning, all that sort of stuff. But overall, it was atrocious. So the idea that we're going to turn this corner to 2022 and we're going to be getting off the field on third down more than not, it's hard. It's hard to digest. Now you look at what they've done, right? They bolstered the edge, which was a major weakness, let's call it a weakness last year. Bolstered the living hell out of it. Brought in a lot more defensive linemen. So let me look. We brought in from Bradley and Solomon Thomas and Jacob Martin to Michael Clemens, Jermaine Johnson. We're getting Carl Lawson and Vinny Curry back. Like it's just there's a lot there. We still got Quinnen Williams, Tanzel Smart, Jonathan Marshall, JFM, all those guys. Obviously, Nathan Shepard. So we have all those guys. There's a nice rotation there if they want to do it. You look at the defensive backfield. You brought in Jordan Whitehead. You get LaMarcus Joyner back. You brought in DJ Reed. You draft Sauce Gardner. On top of Bryce Hall, Brandon Eccles, Michael Carter II, and whoever else is going to make it. I don't know, Isaiah Dunn, Javelin Guidry, whoever. All right. Now, our weakness is at linebacker and maybe a little run stuffage. All right. We got to talk. We got to see what this looks like. But truth is, they did put a lot into bolstering the areas of weakness for this defense. Now, if they think their linebackers are actually in great shape, they think Quincy Williams is fine, and they think, or he's just about to pop, and they think Jamian Sherwood is the next Fred Warner. Okay. If that happens, great. But it's hard to get from where we were all the way to 50 plays of defense just like that. All right. So, but it was nice to get the clarification. I think a lot of people settled down. But on the other side, it did raise some concerns. Maybe Sal and Ulbricht aren't on the same page. I think it's really overanalyzing the scenario. That's the statements even. Let's just take this one a little slower, okay? And we'll see how it goes. But I'll tell you, if Ulbricht is that confident, and let's see if he can do it, because boy, oh boy, did you struggle last year, friend. All right, you did. So let's see what happens. That would be great. And that is the news of the week. Well, something else that happened this week was, I'm not sure if you guys got a chance to check it out. A lot of you did. It was such a good time. We had the distinct privilege of interviewing our former special teams coach, Coach Mike Westhoff, on the Thursday thick of it this past week. And he stayed the full 2 hours. I thought he was going to stay about an hour. He stayed the full 2 hours. We had some couple little sound issues in the beginning, and we got past it, and it was killer. What a great interview. He's out there right now selling a book, and he's making his rounds. You know, he did a few other shows. If I may, and I know I'm biased, if you haven't heard it, I'm going to tell you, I'm fairly certain this is the best interview that he's given yet, and I've heard a few, okay? I'm not saying anything negative about anybody else, but I do think that he gave the best interview right here on our Thursday thick of it with Frankie and Y2K. We even did some Mike Westhoff trivia, and we stumped him. Okay, Y2K stumped him on a question about him, which was fun.
That's a tough one. You got me. I'm not that good at that kind of stuff.
But we had such a great time. But an interesting little bonus nugget that we got was, you might not know this, but Coach Westhoff was on the team that left Baltimore overnight and ended up in Indianapolis. So he was a part of that staff that one day they were Baltimore Colts, and the next day they were Indianapolis Colts. The people of Baltimore had no idea. Woke up and they had no football team. So he was on that staff, and he was so gracious. We asked him, well, what happened? What was that like? And I haven't heard too many details about this, especially of late. And here it is. I'm going to let you guys hear this clip, just 2 minutes or so. I want you guys to hear what this interview was like. We were getting tons of nuggets like this, something that we just don't hear very much of in the NFL, the midnight move.
Well, I was part of that midnight move when we moved from Baltimore to Indianapolis. I was there.
Really? Speaking of that, if you wouldn't mind, just a moment, how did the staff feel about that midnight move? Was there any like trepidation, or was everybody excited to do it? It's an ominous moment in NFL history. They just woke up the next day and they didn't have a football team. So
Correct.
What was that like on that end?
Most of us knew it had to happen. Baltimore as a city had come on hard times. You know, the textile industry had bailed out. The biggest steel mill, Sparrows Point, had closed. The stadium was old, falling apart. You know, the Ursays went from probably being having the least non-shared revenue, you know, where not just television money, because that's all shared equally, but and then they went to having the most. So, you know, we all knew that we were going somewhere. It was going to happen. You know, the rumor was at first we were going to go to Phoenix, then Jacksonville, then Memphis, and then Indianapolis built the drug manufacturer built the Dome. They built the Hoosier Dome. Well, they had the beautiful place to play, and then they made us a deal that you really couldn't pass up. So the problem was, the reason they had to go at night was that the city of Baltimore owned the building that we were practicing in. We leased it from the city. So therefore, we had to get everything out before they could close the door.
Wow.
So everybody went home. Everybody went home, and they came around to the handful of us that got invited. And believe me, it wasn't everybody. And they said, the trucks will be here tonight as soon as it gets dark. He said, there's boxes will be put in your office. Pack everything. Take everything in the building but the phones. So everything, they brought in manpower workers. They jammed. I was a strength coach. I'm taking my back, all my weight room, all the weights were rusty because it was raining. They were ruined, the whole thing. They packed everything. They went up to a truck stop on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. They all the trucks went together. The Indiana State Police came and escorted them to Indianapolis. And then people came back the next day to find that their office was totally gone. All their personal things, their pictures, gone. So there were lots of anger and lots of tears. It was a very difficult time. But for us, you know, we knew it had to happen. And, you know, it wasn't like you're jumping up and down with joy, but Indianapolis treated us great, and it ended up being a great move for that franchise.
I couldn't even believe it. Look, and let me lower my hair a little bit for you. I was nervous. I don't get these interviews all that often. I'm hoping to move into that realm, but we'll see. I'm just one of you guys. We're just hanging out. So for me to be able to have time with a coach like that, who I just loved. I mean, when he was here during Herm Edwards, for Eric Mangini, and then ultimately Rex Ryan. We had some good years. Those were pretty good times, a lot of it. We at least had competitive teams throughout that period. It was lots of peaks and valleys, but he was one of the coaches that I loved the most. Any new coach came, I was hoping that they retained Mike Westhoff. So to have that opportunity to chat with him was super, super cool, and I'm really grateful for it. But man, what a good time we had with him. And I mean, we knew he was going to be a little bit boisterous and all that, but he didn't disappoint. If you haven't checked it out, I'm going to stick the link in the description of this video underneath there. I'll also stick the link to his book, which you can buy. It's fantastic. I got it around here. Hold on. Here it is right here. Figure It Out with Mike Westhoff. It's wonderful. I'm thoroughly enjoying it, and I mean that sincerely. I'll put a link so you can purchase that as well directly from the publisher. It gets released officially in I don't know, July 10th or something like that, but you can get it right now through the link. So anyway, I thank the coach for coming on. I thank all you guys for watching it and having fun. You guys gave some great questions, which he answered without issue. It's fantastic. Another thing, we got one more thing to dive into here. Okay, we're going to get into some Zach Wilson action right after I tell you that Joe Douglas said something very cool, very telling. And this is like the stuff that your general manager needs to know. It needs to be able to differentiate between talent and a good team, between a good football player and a great football player, a super talented athlete and a football player, those types of things. So he said, he was interviewed this week, and he said, I feel there's a lot of talent on this roster, but there's got to be that spark to build their confidence. And we've got to go out and improve it. So he talked about, look, dude, we've obviously collected a bunch of talented players. We have a predominantly young team. We got Quinnen Williams, and we got C.J. Mosley. We have, AVT. We got Mekhi Becton. We have Elijah Moore, Michael Carter, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson. There's guys all over this team that when you compare it to the last decade or 12 years, we have not had teams with this much talent. Overall, it was a bunch of duds. This is a talented team, but he said right there, it doesn't really matter. There's got to be that spark of belief. And he was talking about the 2017 Eagles when they were actually aiming for the 2018 year to be their push, the year that they were done building. He said they had a practice, and the practice went so well. I think it was against the Miami Dolphins. They were 9 wins the year before, whatever it was. And they practiced so well. They just dominated them in every battle. And they came away from that practice saying, you know what? We might be better than we think. And they rode that energy all the way to the friggin' Super Bowl. And that's the kind of stuff, like there needs to be that spark of belief, which is why it's such bullshit that the NFL tried to front load our schedule to like take the wind out of ourselves, because it means a lot. That initial burst of confidence when you start believing, you come out and you end up 2-0 against maybe some teams that you didn't know if you can beat, and you beat them and you're 2-0. You start to believe. Where 0-3, and even if it's, you're not even supposed to beat those teams. Doesn't matter. We're fucking 3-0, or we're 0-3. It starts to pull the rug. You get deflated. So that's why we have to come out so aggressive this year. But he's talking about it. He says it's about that spark. We need to find that. We got to go out there and create that spark. We got to prove this. And on that note, let's get into the intelligent gripe. Zach Wilson. Isn't he a special guy? Aren't we so happy to have Zach Wilson? I don't know. A lot of people aren't. A lot of people are unsure, right? He didn't have the best year. I don't think it was as bad as a lot of people portray it. Like if you watch the entire work from opening day all the way through, if you really look at it objectively, I think there was a lot there. There was a lot of learning. There was a lot of progress. There was a lot of upward trending and all that kind of stuff. So I don't feel like he's going to be the worst. And this, I'll put my fan hat on for a moment. I think he's got it. I really do, okay? But my fan hat off for a moment. If we just look at it objectively, you can really look at some things, and then, to end the year, how we played and all that, to ride into this year. All right, now he shows up at camp or at OTAs, and he's gained a whole bunch of weight, muscle-wise. He looks lean and strong. They were joking. They called him beefy, okay, and thick. He told us that it was a direct derivative of working with the Jets' new nutritionist, Nikki. Okay, he said this is the first year I ever focused on nutrition, and that's part of this new health regime that we've brought in this last year. So he was following the off-season protocols. He said he got chefs and all that kind of stuff to help him actually achieve it, but the protocol itself was written by the New York Jets nutritionist. Now, we see all this stuff, so that's a positive thing coming into this year. Now, during the offseason, we also saw a couple other things. He went around on a little tour, hanging out with his receivers and skill players all throughout the offseason, right? We saw him in Miami with Berrios and Michael Carter. We saw him in Nashville with Corey Davis. We saw him out, I think it was Arizona, with, Mims, Tariq Black, Elijah Moore, Michael Carter. Like, they were all out there with him, Jeff Smith. So he was using the offseason time to clearly work on his body, his health, and all that sort of stuff. But in addition to that, he was also working on continuing the development of rapport with his team. Okay, so he comes back, he looks better, he spent the time wisely, and we get to watch him. Now, what we're seeing, now, again, I already told you earlier in this very video, in this very podcast, people need to write, right? And we have to know that. We need to remember that guys have jobs. They don't just, they're not elementary school teachers where they just take 6 months off or whatever it is, 3 months off, and they don't have to produce anything. They got to produce stuff. I don't know the specifics of anyone's contract, of course, but they have to continue to write stuff and give us stuff and all that sort of stuff. So we start hearing these stories. One day we hear Zach Wilson looks crisp. He looks good. And the next day it's Zach Wilson looks so bad. He looks indecisive. He looks trepidatish. He looks timid. He looks unfocused. He looks off. Now, and what we'll notice is that the negative days tend to inflate a little bit more. More people grab on the story, okay? And they start to say, I don't know if he's the guy and all this kind of stuff. What I wanted to, this is the whole thing. It's not that I have a gripe with guys writing stories, because I truly don't. Now, I do have gripes with the types of stories and all that, but we're going to write about what the days are. We're going to write about what the days are, and that's fine. My gripe is how it's ingested, all right? I'm going to make sure that we understand that we've had quarterbacks that absolutely destroyed, killed, lit it up in preseason, but in training camp and OTAs. Guys like Taylor. Remember Troy Taylor? Remember Trudeau? He was on, I think he was behind Boomer, and everybody said Trudeau should be starting. And then we had guys like Brett Ratliff, right? These are the training camp heroes. And they look really good. They're playing for their life, and they look good in training camp. And there's a whole contingent whether or not they should start. Here's what I want to say. Zach Wilson is our quarterback. They used the second overall pick on him last year. He did have progress last year. He's clearly got the mental fortitude. He didn't crumble and cry and go to pieces. He was under an onslaught last year. He didn't crumble. He stayed strong the whole time. Never complained. Never threw anybody under the bus. Never. Okay? Didn't make excuses for anything. Just kept going. He actually completely removed his turnovers. Started making some touchdowns, running, on the ground, all kinds of fun stuff. He looked like he was settling in, and he was improving. Okay, so we have all that. We're going to build with this guy. There is no way that Mike White's going to beat him in camp. There is no way that Joe Flacco's going to beat him in camp. They are bringing in the weapons. They are bringing in the offensive linemen. They are solidifying the offense. Tight ends, running backs, wide receivers. They're bringing it in to make sure that this guy succeeds. He's got the arm. He's got the mental makeup. He's got the intelligence. He's got the work ethic. He's got the drive. These reports, they don't mean anything. One day this week, he threw a bunch of touchdowns. Wednesday's practice, he looked great. Thursday's practice, he was picked off by Michael Carter II, MC2. He even got a ball deflected and almost picked by Wild Goose. Wild Goose sighting, everybody. So, Zach Wilson is our quarterback. I'm going to tell you, it might take 2 years, 3 years. It might. If he has a second-year jump, that's just an increase, and we see this stuff on Twitter all the time. If Zach Wilson throws for 20 touchdowns, 11 picks, maybe 2-3 more on the ground kind of a thing, and he's got a 60% completion percentage, is that good? Is that good enough? Well, is it? That would be a significant and appropriate jump. Now, we're hoping for more. Of course we are. We think right now we're going to have 1,000 yards for Moore, 1,000 yards for Garrett, 1,000 yards for Brees, So I don't know. It all depends on how the offense goes, right? I do think that we're going to see a lot more 12 personnel and even 22. I also think we're going to see 13 personnel. Now, 13 personnel is very interesting because obviously you got guys that can receive, but you have 3 extra blockers out there for your running back. So that gives you 8 blocking animals for a running back. You bring 13 personnel out there and you're running it a lot of the time. Now, you could fake it. You can play action. It opens up so much, but that's what I think we're going to try to be, like a possession offense. And Ulbrich, so his guys can play 30 snaps a game. You know what I mean? So another thing, if the defense is able to get off on third down and the offense does 12-minute drives, fuck, man, 30 might be crazy huge, right? It might be too many. Guys are only getting 18 snaps a game with Ulbrich. Who knows? But maybe that's what they're counting on. I don't know. But here's what I'll say. Zach Wilson, from today when you're hearing this until the season, we're gonna hear more bad days. You're gonna hear more excitingly good days. Now, I pay attention every day, so I would never say to somebody, don't pay attention. Pay attention to what you want to pay attention to, right? I love it. I eat it up. Nom, 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 nom. I want to see everything. So I'm not saying that. Do whatever you want to do, right? Whatever you feel good at. The only thing I'll say is that it doesn't mean anything, guys. It doesn't mean a damn thing. Practice is where you want your guys to explore things, to work on footwork issues, to try no-look passes, whatever it is. See how realistic it is for you? Practice is where to do it. That's where to do it. If you have to throw 10 interceptions to get something right so you can pull it off in a game, throw 10 interceptions, man. Do it. Right? Zach Wilson even said as much last year. He said, well, guys, this is where I'm working. I'm trying something. I'm working out some kinks over here. I'm trying to develop something. Like there has to be a time where we develop. And when you're developing, you're more than likely not going to be championship level. That's the truth of it. So let's give the kid a break. He is our quarterback. I'm telling you. Now, if at the end of this year, if he's got 21 interceptions and 6 touchdowns, we'll have to look at that. We will. But for right now, Zach Wilson is 100% without question our starting quarterback. Barring injury, there's no chance that that's not the way we start the season. No chance other than injury. Let's support him. Let's give him his chance. Let's support the idea of working it out in practice, man. You do you. Break it down. Shake it up and get it right. When we start opening day, September 11th against Baltimore, I want laser. I want a precise surgical quarterback. If that means the entire training camp period, he looks like complete dog dookie, so be it. If you can come out week 1 and just be a surgical, picking him apart, good. Then it's worth it. And that's the thing. We can't get too hung up on the training camp stuff. We just can't. It's training. It's practice. It's practice. So you know. Well, guys, there you have it. I have a whole bunch of stuff on Jermaine Johnson I'm going to put out shortly as well. By the time you hear this, right on the heels of it, you're going to get a whole Jermaine Johnson breakdown. Some really good stuff. It's exciting. Our young guys are exciting, man. They are. And the team we're building is exciting. Again, we have no idea if this is going to work. It all comes down to Saleh. Like, if we had a coach, like, let's say, somebody who's been around, like bad example, but let's just say Parcells was coaching this team, I would feel so friggin' good. I'm not convinced with Saleh. I'm not convinced with Ulbrich either. I feel pretty good about LaFleur. I like some of the assistant coaches we have around. And I'm not saying I'm anti-Saleh. I'm definitely not. But I'm just not convinced. I don't know. He's clearly a leader. He's clearly got that whole thing. He's building a respectable organization. Everybody's helping each other. That's great. We got that. It's his in-game stuff. I don't know yet. I don't know. I'm rooting hard, buddy. I am. But I think, look, he's given me enough to be hopeful. So we don't know what this is all about. But one thing I can say is, shit, man, there's a lot of reason to be excited right now. If you want wide receivers on this team, you got them. You want running backs on this team, you want them. If you want tight ends on this team, you got them. You want to bolster the offensive line, it's gotten. You wanted to get edge rushers in, you want to see a pass rush, it's here. You want cornerbacks and safe, dude, they did it. You want linebackers, you're going to have to wait a second. You got to wait, man. No, we still got C.J. Mosley, who could arguably be a top 10 linebacker in the NFL. He was. Who knows? So he's got that in him. He's not old yet. So we don't know. But linebacker's still a question. But, dude, we got him. There's an exciting batch of guys that we brought in. And if we can just get it rolling, get that little burst of confidence, going out and getting that spark that Joe Douglas talked about, we might have some. Thank you for watching, everybody. I'm glad you were here. Don't forget to leave your comments. What do you think? Is Zach not your quarterback? What do you think of all this betting stuff back and forth? AVT, baby. I love me some AVT. Let me know what you think in the comments. I can't wait to hear from you. As you guys know, I try to answer as many as I can. With that said, have a great rest of the week, my friends, and go Jets.